Hey guys, in this quick project we're going to be building a parallax type of website with some fixed images in the background that we can we can keep in place, and we can scroll and see different parts of the image in the website background. So this is what we'll be building. You can see we have a high quality image here. They're all free stock images. I'll show you where to get them. And we have them faded out a little bit. We added a little bit of opacity, and then we have a heading here. And if I scroll down, we have a couple sections, and in between those sections we have other images. There's 3 images in total, and you can see as I scroll you'll see different parts of the image, okay, and it stays in place. Same thing here. We have this cityscape, and we can see different parts as we scroll, and then we have the first image at the bottom again. Alright, so it's very simple, but I think this looks very clean, and you guys can use this in future projects. So that's what we'll be building in this mini project, so let's get started. This video is sponsored by Dev Mountain. If you're interested in learning web development, iOS, or UX design, Dev Mountain is a 12-week design and development bootcamp intended to get you a full-time job in the industry. To learn more, visit devmountain.com or click the link in the description below. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now I'm using Atom for my text editor, but of course you can use whatever you'd like. I'm also using the Emmet plugin for faster HTML for creating divs and stuff like that. Also using Atom Live Server, which is a package that will let us just run this file on our local host instead of just running it on the file system, but you don't need that. That's, it's absolutely fine if you just open up your HTML files. Alright, now I have a folder called Parallax Website, and all these files will be available in the description. And we have an image folder with 3 images. Okay, so we have the 3 city images, and then I just have a blank index HTML file. Now for these images, you can either get them from the project files, or you can go to Pexels. I think it's Pexels.com, which is just an awesome site for free stock images. And then I just searched for city, and I got this image here, this one, and this one. Okay, so you guys can download those if you want. I got the 1080p, the 920 right here, the large. Okay, so once you get that set up, we can go ahead and start on HTML. So I'm using Emmet, so I can do just exclamation tab, and it'll give us kind of a, our basic HTML structure. Let's go ahead and change the title here. I'm just going to call this Parallax website demo. And then we also need a style sheet, because I don't want to put the style in the HTML. So I'm going to create a folder called CSS, and we're going to create a file here called style.css, and then we just need to link that inside of our head. So let's put a link tag, and it's going to go to css/style.css. Alright, we're not using any frameworks, Bootstrap, anything like that. Alright, now I'm going to open this up by going to my Atom Live server, start server. But again, you can just, open up your index.html file. And I just want to kind of explain the structure of what we'll be doing with the HTML. Alright, so we have each section here where the text is, and then in between we have our images, okay, and then we have a caption for each image. So basically each one of these is going to be a div with the class of either PIMG1 for image 1, this will be PIMG2, PIMG3, and then we have 1 again at the bottom. And then in between that we're going to have section tags, okay? Section is an HTML5 tag, which will have a class called section, and also a class either section light or section dark, okay? You'll see there's 2 background colors. And that's pretty much it. That's the structure of our HTML. So let's go ahead and go back into Atom. We're going to start at the top here with the big image, and we're going to call this, we're going to give this a class of PIMG1. Okay, now inside these PIMG divs, we're going to have ptext, a class called ptext, and that's the caption. And then inside that, we're going to have a span with the class of border. Okay, and let's put some text in here. What did we have? Parallax website. Okay, and you guys can use whatever text you want, whatever images you want. It doesn't really matter. So if we go ahead and save that, this should auto reload. Let's go. There we go. So that's what we should have so far. All right, and we're going to do all of the HTML before we do any of the CSS. That's just how I like to do things. Some people will do, certain sections, they'll do the HTML and then the CSS, go back to the HTML. I just like to do all the HTML and then go to the CSS. All right, so we have our first p-image1 class, which will be our first parallax image. Now we want our section. So let's say section, we're going to give it a class of section. We're also going to give this a class of section light. So section dash light. Okay, and then in here we're going to have an h2, and we're just going to say section 1, and then let's do a paragraph with some dummy text. Now with Atom I can just type in lorem and then a number, so I'm going to say 100. This is going to generate 100 words of dummy text. So if I click tab, you'll see it gives us 100 words. All right, so if we save that and we take a look, it should look like this. All right. So now that we have section 1, let's go on to the next parallax image. So I'm just going to copy this, and let's just put this right under the section, and we're going to call this one PIMG2. And then for the text here, let's just say image 2 text. Okay, then we're going to do our next section, so I'm just going to copy this. Okay, I tried to make the structure of the HTML extremely simple. This is going to actually be section dark though, because I want it to have a dark background. We'll say section 2, and we'll just keep the same text. Actually, we'll just get rid of a couple sentences, I guess. All right, so that's section 2. Then we want our third image, so I'm going to just copy the p-image2 here, and we're going to change it to p-image3. We'll say image 3 text. Okay, and then we'll do our last section, which is also going to be dark, so I'm going to copy that. Okay, this is going to be section 3. And then down at the bottom, we're going to have the section 1, the p-image1 again. So I'm going to grab this, copy that, and put that right under the section. All right, and that's it. That's it for our HTML. So let's go take a look, and it looks stupid, but we need to add our CSS, okay? So let's go back to Atom and go to our CSS, and we're going to start off with just adding some styles for the body as well as the HTML tag. All right, so we're going to do a few things here. We want to set the height to be 100%. We want to set margin to be 0. We don't want any margin around the edges. And let's set the font size to 16 pixels. We're going to set the font family, and we're going to set that to Lato, and then a backup of, we'll say, sans serif. Oops. All right, and then we're also going to set the line height. Actually, let's set the weight first, the font weight, which is the boldness. We'll set that to 400, and then we're going to set the line height. We're going to set that to 1.8 EM, and then we're going to set the color, the default color of the text, to 666, which is just like a kind of a dark gray. All right, so if we save that and take a look, that should be in effect. You can see that the text is bigger, it's lighter, has a increased line height. All right, so that's the body in HTML. Now we're going to take care of, let's see, we're going to take care of the images. So let's see, we have classes of PIMG1, 2, and 3. So let's say dot PIMG1. And for that, we're going to have our background image. Sorry for that banging outside. People are working outside. URL, and then we want to point to image 1. You'll see I have an IMG folder with image1.jpg. That's what I want. So we're going to say .. because we want to go outside of our CSS folder and then into the IMG folder and then image1.jpg. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is set a minimum height of 100% for this image. Okay, 100% of its container. And then I'm just going to copy that. We're going to do the same for the next two images. We're just going to change this to 2 and 3, and change image 2, image 3, and those are all, actually, you know what, the first one is going to be 100% because that's the big image, all right? And then the other ones I'm just going to set to 400 pixels because those are smaller. All right, and just to show you what I'm talking about, if we go back to the finished one, you'll see this is 100% height, and then these ones I set to 400, okay? And then the one again down here is 100%. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, that's what our site looks like right now, is this. Okay, so it's coming together. Next thing we want to do, and notice that it's not, we don't have the parallax effect. It's just showing the image. There's no scrolling effect or anything like that. All right. So let's add the scrolling effect. So we're adding this to all images. So right above what we just did, we're going to say PIMG1, PIMG2, and PIMG3 because we want this applied to all of these images. All right, so first thing we'll do is say position relative. Okay, we want to make sure the position is set to relative. I also want it to have an opacity. I want them to be a little bit faded. So we're going to say opacity, and we're going to set that to 0.70. All right, and then we're going to set the background position. I want the images to be centered. So we're going to say background dash position, and we're going to set that to center. All right. Now for the background size, I want it to cover the entire space. So we're going to say background size, and we'll set that to cover. And then we want to make sure that these images don't repeat. So we'll say background repeat, set that to no dash repeat. We don't want them to repeat either horizontally or vertically. Okay, now if we save that and take a look, it's going to look like this. Now notice there's still no parallax, scrolling effect. To do that, all we have to do is add a background attachment style. So let's go right here, and I'm going to say background. Oops, I hate this keyboard. Background attachment, and we're going to set this to fixed. Okay, so let's take a look now. And now notice we have that effect. Okay, it's as simple as that. Now I'm going to put a little comment in here just so you guys know that if you want to remove that effect, you can just set this to scroll instead of fixed. So let's say, what did I do? So we'll say fixed equals parallax, and then we'll say scroll equals normal. Okay, just so you guys know that you can easily change this. In fact, I'm going to add a media query down below later and take away the effect for mobile devices because sometimes it can give you issues on mobile devices. All right, so we essentially have the effect. Now let's work on the sections, make those look a little better, because if we look, you'll see that for the sections they're up against the edge, and we want to make these look a little better. Also add the background colors and stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and add in our section class. Okay, so I want these sections to be aligned to the center, so we're going to say text align center. And then I just want to add some padding. So for padding, we're going to do 50 pixels on the top and bottom and 80 pixels on the left and right. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so that looks better. Now for the, let's see, actually that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Now we need to add the section dark and section light class. So let's say dot section light. So that's going to have a background. We don't really need the section light because that's pretty much the default. Yeah, that's the default, but we'll just add it anyway. So let's say background color is white. Actually, let's do a dark gray. I mean, a light gray. And let's say for the text, that's going to be 666, and that should be good. And then for the dark, section dark, we're going to do a background color, of, let's see, it's 282E34. So 282E34. And then for the color, we're going to do DDD, which is a light gray. All right, so let's go ahead and save that. We'll check it out. And there we go. So we have our light, which has a, you know, a light gray background, and then we have our dark background. Now, next thing we want to work on is the p text, okay, which we have inside the. You actually don't see the text yet. We have to position it absolute for us to be able to see it. So, well, you can see it up here, right here. But what we want to do is position it absolute and bring it into the middle, make it bigger, make it uppercase, and do some other stuff. So let's go ahead and add .ptext. Okay, so for this, we're going to say position. Position is going to be absolute. And we want to set top to 50% because we want to bring it down halfway. We want it to be in the middle vertically. We're going to set the width of it to 100%. We're going to set the text align to center. We're going to set the color to, the default is going to be black. And then let's set the font size. So font size will set to 17 pixels. I'm sorry, 27 pixels. And we're going to set letter spacing to 8 pixels. Letter spacing is just, you know, the horizontal spacing between each letter of the word. All right, and then let's make it uppercase by saying text transform uppercase. Okay, let's save that, take a look, and there we go. So now the words are smack dab in the middle of the images. Now I do want to have the background, which is the border class. Remember we gave it a class of border. If we look at the HTML, we have a span with the class of border. So let's take care of that. Actually, we'll do, let's say ptext and then border. Just in case there's a border, you know, if you're adding on to this and there's a border class somewhere else. So we're just going to set the background color. Background color will be 777. Nope. 111, and then let's set the color to white. Okay, and then we're just going to set a padding of 20 pixels. Save that, and there we go. So that looks pretty good. Now I want the option to not have this background as well. So what I'm going to do is for these two, image 2 text, image 3 text, I'm going to give those a class of trans for transparent. All right, so let's go to our HTML. We'll go right here to pimage3 where we have the border, and we're just going to add trans. And let's do the same here on the border class, trans. And let's see, we're going to add .ptext border.trans, and let's just set the background color. We're going to set that to transparent. All right, so we'll save that. Let's take a look, and now these two don't have that background. All right, I'm actually going to just change the text of that. I think I had it to Traversy Media. You guys can obviously put whatever you want. You guys are free to use this in any project you want. All my code, anything that's on my YouTube channel is completely open source. You're free to use. The only thing that I ask is that you don't just sell it outright. All right, but you can use it in your projects, you know, for your company or whatever. All right, and that's pretty much it, guys. If we take a look, now I want to disable it for mobile devices, or just show you how to do that, because if we go bring this down, I want to make it so that it doesn't happen when it's at a certain, you know, when the window is at a certain height, so it's responsive. So let's just add in here a media query. We're going to say at media, and we're going to say max width of 5. Sorry about that banging, guys. 568 pixels. So anything under 568 pixels, this will be in effect. So we'll say dot PIMG1, dot PIMG2, PIMG3, and we're just going to set the background attachment, and we're going to set that to scroll. Okay, so now if we go back and reload, now it's just normal for mobile devices, and if I make this bigger, we still have the parallax effect. All right, so I'm gonna go before they start pissing me off with the banging upstairs. So hopefully this helped you guys out, you know, understand how to do this. It's pretty easy. I tried to lay out the HTML as simple as possible. Feel free to use it in your projects. Please subscribe, leave a like if you liked it, and I will see you next time.